Justin, dude, can you please help me out with this? Justice, you know I'm a busy man, bro.
What are you doing?
I have that meeting with that guy. Of course, what are you talking about? Just please, dude, can you help me out with this? I have a sore throat. I don't feel well. We look exactly alike. No one will know the difference. Just can you please help me out with this? Fine, dude. Well, besides, you owe me. I don't owe you. What are you talking about? I don't think Ma heard about your little fiasco out in Vegas, did she? Fine. That's fine. Alright, what do I have to do? Okay, I have the papers right there for you if you need it. You've read the novel, you're familiar with it, you know a lot of the themes. Just speak what's on the paper, because those are my ideas, those are what I want. Just say what's on the paper, pretty much. Alright, fine. Am I getting paid? I'm getting paid for this, right? Alright. Hello everyone, my name's Justin. Justice Parman, and I wanted to share with you my thoughts on the novel The Dead Do Not Improve by J. Caspian King. Now, there are a lot of themes and different points of interest in this novel, although one I picked up on that was the most strong was, what was it? Oh, race. Yeah, race. And I just really think that... Stop, cut. I don't know this stuff. Justin, you have papers in front of you for your ideas. Just say whatever you feel. You can't make me do this. Say what's on your mind. I don't understand, Justin. But primarily, just read off the paper so you don't screw anything up. Just, come on, just... Towards the beginning of the novel, Philip Kim, the main character and narrator of this story, recounts a time when his parents are trying to sing a song, I'm a Believer, by the Monkees. And instead of writing down and saying, I'm a believer, I couldn't leave her if I tried, just the actual lyrics, he actually places an R instead of the L to really emphasize the stereotype, the Korean stereotype of Asians replacing L's with R's while they speak. It's just their speech difference, so he just placed it there, like without any offense really taken towards him at all. Later in the novel, we're introduced to Sid Finch and Jim Kim, which are two detectives working for the San Francisco Police Department. And during this one quote in particular, Jim Kim is really reluctant into moving to Mandarin County. And, quote, he says, "The line of hippie tolerance ends at the Golden Gate Bridge, my friend. They'd string me up in the middle of Mill Valley Strawberry Festival, or they'd make me bang their ugliest woman in hopes of producing exotic kids that show aptitude at math and the violin." Now, I find this quote super interesting because my best friend, he was in 6th grade, who was Korean. He was excellent in math and at violin. And it's interesting because without any background or context given on Jim Kim, he suggests that he has an aptitude, or he has a background and skill in math and the violin, as having a skill in the math and the violin. And that just kind of interests me because without giving any previous historical context on if he's good at math or good at the violin, he just suggests that his kids, because he's Korean American, is good at math and good at the violin. Which leads me to the conclusion that in this novel, Koreans, the Korean American characters in this novel, it led me to the conclusion that Korean Americans in this novel actually have accepted their stereotypes that have been placed on them. How's that? Decent. I know you can do better though. But we'll take like a break right now. Good, because it's freaking hot out here. Damn. How many of these I have to do? 3 more. Damn. Alright, let's do it. I after collecting those thoughts and ideas that the Korean American characters in this novel have accepted their stereotypes, it brought me to think that typically, generally in society today, minorities have pride in themselves no matter what. You know, they may be underdogs and they may view themselves as underdogs, and when they succeed in a certain event, they will show pride. Deservingly so. And there are some examples that I found quite interesting. If you see here, when Philip Kim, when he was telling a story about when he was younger, he fought the big black dude, Dante. His father came in and pretty much bailed him out of detention. And Philip remembers the look on his father's face that he couldn't really tell what it was, but he came to conclude that it was something akin to pride. And that really intrigued me because let's just face this. Philip did something wrong. Philip got into a fight, and usually parents would look down on that. Although, being that Philip and his family, they're Korean and they're the minority in society, you know, his father probably took pride in saying, hey, my son stood up to, you know, the big black dude, Dante. Go Korean. Another display of Korean pride during this novel was when Philip recounts a time when he and his friend Hyung Jae were watching baseball, and the Virginia Tech murders have happened, and Hyung Jae very vulgarly, which I'll paraphrase, describes how makes a comparison between Ichiro Suzuki, which is a famous Japanese baseball player who has succeeded in the major leagues. He has almost 3,000 hits. He's very good. He's probably a future Hall of Famer. Compares him to the murderer Cho Seung-hui, the murderer at Virginia Tech. After comparing Ichiro to Cho Seung-hui, Hyung Jae says, "Aren't you a bit proud of Cho?" Which is almost ridiculous when you think that, okay, Koreans, they will show pride if they succeed in an event, sure. But if it's in an event where it's fighting is considered or murdering is considered, there is still that sense of pride. Because that the characters in the novel show that they have pride for this murderer. Like, even though he did something terribly wrong, he still has pride for them. Which I don't think in general is what happens, but this character displays pride for his race, his Korean, because he had notoriety. He did something. He succeeded in a certain event, which I found was really interesting. But although I concluded, disregarding the characters from the novel, I concluded that in general, minorities will show pride in their race when they succeed in a certain event. And they will view themselves as underdogs. For example, let's say I'm the minority, okay? And my dog, Michael, come here. He's coming right now. Come here. And let's say Michael, right here, is the dominant culture, and I am challenging him to a game of cards. So here's how this is going to work. I'm probably going to pull up to the poker place, card place, whatever, and probably like a Ford 98 Taurus, because you know what? That's what I drive. It's nothing shabby, but it's whatever. You know, I'm feeling confident going to this cards game. I'm a decent card player, you know, blackjack, poker. I got the whole repertoire going, you know, I have confidence. And I pull up, I walk up, and I realize that I'm not only in some cards place, I am in Doglandia, which is home of the best card players ever. So I rip the sign off, because, you know, I gotta have this, I'm confident. But when I walk in, I realize the cards are formed in a weird way. It's a different type of card. And there's an entourage surrounding this player, and it can only mean one thing. I'm facing the best cards player in the world, Michael Scott. You realize you have no chance, right? I can play the telepathy card too. Your move.
You're a good kid, Justice. You're a real good kid.
And when the minority succeeds, boom, son! They will show pride.
I can't believe that happened. I'm running away.
My lord, this is the worst. This is the worst, Justice. This is absolutely the worst. Come on, you're halfway there. Don't whine. Since I concluded that in the novel, Korean American characters have accepted their stereotypes, I transitioned that into today's society where minorities in general have embraced their stereotypes and will view themselves as underdogs. And when they succeed in a certain event, they will show pride, and deservingly so. Although, it begs the question, how on earth can a race that has an enormous amount of racial pride possibly give into the conformity of how other outsiders define them? It's like, how can I put characteristics on my dog if I don't know him personally and I don't know him to the greatest extent possible? I can say, sure, I can say he's short, he's furry, he has long ears, and he has incredibly weird humanistic personality traits. But it's not on me to say, the dog loves to get bones. The dog loves bones. But actually, he hates bones. He's more of a vegetarian. He likes lettuce. But I don't know that. I just know that dogs in general like bones. But Michael does not. How can minorities give in and accept the stereotypes that are put on them by... How can minorities accept stereotypes that have been placed on them by other outside races if the other outside races don't even know the second thing about the race that they're putting the stereotype on? Which led me to some research. In the article, U.S. Immigrants and the Dilemma of Anglo-Conformity by Susan J. Dicker, she suggests that in order for immigrants to have coexisted in the 19th century within a dominant culture, those foreigners would have need to abandon certain characteristics that identify themselves as foreigners and adapt characteristics that are prominent in the dominant culture. Let's take a look at this reenactment.
How may I help you?
Hello, sir. I was wondering if I could join your people in your land in Michaelville. Is that okay? Speak. Okay, well thank you, sir.
Oh, I mean, he's probably a nice guy and all and everything. But what is that thing on the top of his head? I have no idea what that is. And you know what? I think I need to do something about it because, I don't have big things on the top of my head. So I think I need to get him something more my type. There you go.
Although foreigners will never really achieve acceptance within a dominant culture because of their biological characteristics and prejudices within the dominant culture.
Wait, no, that didn't do anything. He's still a huge, tall, giant, furless beast.
Lastly, we're going to talk about how all these racial prejudices and stereotypes kind of spread across a culture. And today, the biggest way that anything spreads is pop culture, really. If you want to throw social media into the section of pop culture, of course. It's everywhere. You see it on Facebook, you see it in movies, you see it news, it's everywhere you go. And a lot of that pop culture contains false racial stereotypes. And as people enjoy pop culture, they also enjoy those false stereotypes. And so, what I came to is that, pop culture is actually a vehicle for conformity, and how they don't want to go against it because if they do, they'll face disdain or they'll face humiliation. One example of conformity kind of taking over is the Asch experiment. In 1950, psychologist Solomon Asch wanted to display levels of conformity with his experiment called the Asch experiment, and for this, he gathered up 4 kids, but before they gathered everyone, he brought in just 3 kids to tell them to do exactly this.
Okay, I'm gonna need you guys to say that when the graduation guy shoots the ball and makes it, that he's gonna miss. But then we're not gonna tell the one guy, and we're gonna see what he says.
Can you do that? Alright, I can do that. I can do that, tiny one. Sure, I can do that. Would you like a gumball? Courtesy of SpongeBob. Walking in now is the kid who has no idea what's going on.
Alright, let us begin. You will tell me if Graduation Boy made the shot or missed the shot. Graduation Boy, take the shot.
Missed that shot. Dang it. Dude, obviously you missed. Terrible shot. He missed it. He missed it.
How about you, kid in the black shirt? Did he make it or did he miss it?
All of these wrong answers really confused the kid in the black shirt, which forced him to say, he missed. I guess he missed. Last section. So pretty much in conclusion, and thank you for staying with me this long, is that J. Caspian Kang in this novel reveals how the Korean American characters have accepted the stereotypes society has placed on them in the novel. And with that, I suggested that all minorities in today's society view themselves as underdogs, and they will show pride whenever they do something right. And they will do so deservingly. And then I brought in research from Susan J. Dicker's U.S. Immigrants and the Dilemma of Anglo-Conformity, which provides historical context to these ideas that suggest that the development of minorities' embracement towards their stereotypes and false prejudices have happened over time, and it's only increased in years. And then finally, from research from Kendra Cherry's article, The Ash Experiment, which describes the actual Ash Experiment, takes all these ideas that I've mentioned before into consideration, and really I came up with the conclusion that the novel declares this: from all these ideas into consideration, this is what I ultimately think that the novel is trying to say. Drum roll, please. Minorities have embraced the racial stereotypes put on them because the era they live in is so dominated by pop culture and social media, which is filled with stereotypes of every race. Drum roll, please. Minorities have embraced the racial stereotypes put on them because of the era they live in is so dominated by pop culture and social media, and that pop culture and social media is absolutely flooded with false stereotypes and racial slurs, which is not ideally correct. Thank you for your time. I have to go. I gotta go to Justice. I'll see you later. Alright, yeah, you're free. Go have fun at that thing. Oh.